Today I want to do something just a little bit different. I want to tell you guys about an upcoming Kickstarter. In fact, by the time I release this preview, it's already going to be on Kickstarter. Either way, he previously came out with a game Liftoff, also from Kickstarter. His new game is called The Siblings' Trouble. It is an interesting storytelling game. Other Sean, roll it. The Siblings' Trouble is a game by Pencil First Games, the company that previously brought you Liftoff. This game allows for 2 to 4 adventurers, ages 8 and up. Takes about 30 minutes per adventure. The game utilizes storytelling, card shuffling, dice rolling, and special player abilities. In The Siblings' Trouble, each player is a young adolescent adventurer, climbing through the forest, spelunking caves, skulking through abandoned junkyards, or wading through mystic waters. What for, you ask? Well, that's all for you to tell us. That's right, this is a storytelling game, and with you at the helm, what could possibly go wrong? In short, just about everything. But that's really just the beginning. The game comes with a single 6-sided die for each adventure, known as a trouble die, for you are the Siblings' Trouble. 1 treasure die and 1 search die. Each of these determine the outcome of your story, event by event, as your story unfolds. The game also comes with a dizzying array of cards that help you tell your story. You've got 4 characters: adventure, danger, mischief, and mayhem. But no good adventurer can go on a quest without the aid of some items to help them. As such, there are 34 treasure cards and epic treasure cards. Each player starts with 1 of these treasure cards. Further adventure cards can be picked up along the way, from defeating mini-bosses and bosses, and from the 52 location cards. In one story, you may be fighting the Queen of the Sea, and the next, you'll have to deal with a rather handsome-looking troll. Yeah, I don't know. That's what the card says. But before we go killing mini-bosses, we need a way to get from point A to point B, and that is where the 30 path cards come into play. These path cards help tell the story of the environment you are in. Maybe you fell down a hole, or maybe there is a giant garbage pile and you decide to rummage through it looking for some quick but helpful loot. How you tell your story determines the outcome, and then of course, the game comes with 24 tokens that help you build up your strength for the boss battle. Or maybe you've been incredibly unlucky in your storytelling and dice rolling, and you've built up a lot of fear tokens on the boss battle, making the boss even stronger. Then again, maybe you've been clever in your storytelling, and your die is your best friend. As such, you've stocked up some major power through the treasure items and star bonuses earned through the story. Great! So where do we begin, you ask? Well, to begin, you assemble the story deck. Each deck is shuffled independently: treasure cards, epic cards, paths, and big secrets. For this example, we will take on the Mystic Waters, remove the boss encounter cards and entrance cards, shuffle the remaining cards in the Mystic Waters deck. Set aside the End of the Adventure card and randomly draw a card from the Big Secret card deck. Then assemble the story deck as follows. On the bottom, place the End of the Adventure card, a location-specific boss card, a path card, a location card, 2 more path cards, another location card, another path card, the Big Secret card, another location card, 2 more path cards, and then the entrance to the location. It's very much like a Scooby-Doo sandwich at this point, of a mishmash of plot devices. Very interesting. So, without shuffling, place that deck off to the side. Leave out on the table area the shuffled treasure cards, the epic treasure cards, the location-specific cards, and the path cards. The search and treasure die should also be left out in reach of all players. All other cards, put them back in the box. You won't be using them for this adventure. So then, I look over at the first player and say, "All right, Rothfuss, weave me a tale." Patrick draws the top card from the deck and begins to spin the most beautiful tale I've ever heard. Players take turns drawing cards, spinning tales instructed by the cards but largely embellishing. In fact, that's the most fun part of this game, embellishing and enriching the story. The game itself is the framework for the story and its unexpected twists and turns, but the players are the real vehicle for fun, much like any RPG adventure. Alright, now it's time on Gamer's Remorse, where we usually go through a review, where Brian and I, and whoever our other guest is, we kick it back and forth to see what we thought about the game. However, Brian was unable to be here today, so I'm going to do it by my lonesome. So, let's see how well I argue with myself. So in regards to look and feel, out of 2 points, I gave it 1.75. Eduardo always does a really good job with his images, his icons, and the overall combination between theme merging into the artwork that he has provided. And this is no exception, of course. The artwork is very reminiscent of... going on adventures, storybooks, that sort of thing. And he wove it really well into this. I didn't really have too many complaints, other than some of the artwork that he did use. It's clear that they didn't really have the same styles. And so I'm pretty sure what he's going to release as part of his Kickstarter, just have one art style that he's going to put out there. I think in this copy it was just really a demo copy, and so the artwork that I got was just whatever he could quickly come up with. Maybe it's just sort of a placeholder. So again, I gave that 1.75 out of 2. Other Sean, do you agree?
Yar!
Balance and mechanics, out of 2, I gave that 1. This is where the game struggles a little bit for me, because it didn't seem so much like a game to me, right? You're drawing cards, sure enough, and you're rolling die to see if you're successful at those events. However, it wasn't really clear to me how this was a game, because a clever game player would just tell a story such that they're always successful, right? And they would always pick up that rare item or the other loot or what have you. They could really talk around any issues that come up. But I guess if you were truly entrenched in the story, you wouldn't cheat, so to speak. You would make yourself go through all the issues to try it out. And then the other half is there was enough luck and randomness in this, If you get a whole bunch of bosses and mini-bosses that are really simple to beat, then, okay, well, it just seems like an empty victory to me. However, if you end up with very difficult bosses, then there's no way you can really compete. So to me, it was a little bit mechanically imbalanced, but when you go on an adventure, there's nothing to say that it's going to be a difficult adventure, so maybe that completely fits in with the theme.
Yar!
So for pacing, 1 out of 1 point, I gave it full points. I do believe that the pacing was very well done, and part of that is it's a storytelling game. So while one player is struggling with how to tell the story, right from wrong, adding in different embellishing items into the storyline, the other players are listening intently so that then they can key off of those same embellishments later on in their pieces of the story. Theme, out of 2, I gave it 1.5. This game is very strong on theme. You're several, teenage or younger kids going through the neighborhood, going on different adventures, your different items that you might have. So, for instance, a string of old beads, rusty nails. It'd be things that you could find around the house that maybe it wasn't incredibly obvious to you when you picked up those items, later on turned out to be incredibly useful in your adventure. So 1.5 out of 2 on theme. Easy to learn. I gave it 0.5 out of 1. The reason for that is there are just so many cards, and it wasn't incredibly obvious to me how to lay those out. However, once you get over that first hiccup, and honestly, it was probably only 30 minutes, it would be very easy to teach other players. So, the easy to learn, okay, I gave it 0.5. In fact, I'm going to talk myself, well, no, we'll leave it at a 0.5. I believe there was probably room to simplify that elsewhere in the game, but I can see why he did that. He did that to beef up replayability, right? You want as many possible adventures as can be. And so if you limit the number of cards and you limit the number of decks, it really reduces that substantially. So I see why he did it, but it still adds to that complexity factor. Why am I not using all of these cards? Why would I put those back in the box? Replayability, out of 2 points, I gave it 1.5. Like I talked previously, you have 4 different decks. You're only ever using one of those decks and a partial one of those decks, right? because each deck has a different adventure. Are you going to the Mystic Waters? Are you going to the Hillside Cave? Or the Abandoned Junkyard? Or I forget the fourth one now, but you see what I'm saying. There's a lot of possibilities for replayability here, and that's why they did that. I'm sure after so many games, you would probably get used to the different things, but that's where the storytelling comes in, because every time you embellish on the story, you are deviating from the original cards, which that is the intent of the game. So high replayability marks on this.
I agree fully.
7.25 out of 10, which is a really good score, considering my previous gripe about the mechanics. However, if you have kids that are very imaginative, creative, this is right up their alley, and I would highly recommend it for them. For the serious Eurogamer, this is not your game, right? But for the RPG gamers, I could definitely see you getting into this. In fact, you could use it as a filler game in between several rounds of different RPGs, or just as a game to play while you're waiting for others to show up. All of those are good options. So 7.25 out of 10 on Gamer's Remorse. All right, thank you.